Welcome back to FHL Community Episodes. We are so excited that you can join us again today. And our next segment would be about culture change with the things that's happening now in our country, in the entire world. There's something that's happening in our culture. But in order for us to change culture or the norm, we need to be aware of the present moment. So that is the part one of this segment, which is called awareness. In the past 17 years, Facebook has changed our perception of reality. For most of us, it has transformed the way we communicate, the way we live, the way we think, the way we interact with each other. And many of us have been hypnotized by the power of technology. There have been a number of people who use social media to make lots of money, to win political campaigns, and to organize groups of different factions. It has become an alliance for some, and for others, it has become the medium of hate between friends and families. Individuals and organizations have become popular. There's a man named Cristiano who has the most likes in Facebook, and Samsung has the most in any organizations, second only to Facebook. Yes, social media is here to stay. Organizations track their likes, shares, and followers and other things. And me, myself, I had invested over $500 in Facebook ads in 2020 and had 60,000 reach with over 4,000 views for one of our organization's video, which is Faith, Hope, and Love organization. Here's what I found out, was that the metrics can be so skewed that the number of reach or likes do not mean that people actually engage in what we do. Many of them are just nosing around or wanting to get something. Don't get me wrong, not all of them are, but a big percentage are just watching what you're doing but would not commit to your cause. Social media relationship is not the same as human interaction. You could have thousands of friends virtually who are not your real friends. At worst, one can become extremist, depressed, and isolated. Realistically, social media was not designed to replace the real human connection. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagrams were designed to connect us in their platform. These technologies use notification to trigger our senses to look at our page and to see what others commented or like. I don't know about you, but I turn off my notification because it's just like bombarded my day with just looking, and that's what they're trying to do. The social media created a false reality that affected our brains, emotions, and even our physical nature. Many of us have become slaves to the number of comments and likes that make us happy or depressed. An article in 2019 wrote, "Spending too much time on social media sites like Facebook is making people more than just miserable. It may also make them depressed." So, reality check. Where are you right now in your relationship? In the reality and also in real reality. Many people may argue or deny the fact that this is the world we lived in. However, when there is a need or crisis, there are also opportunities to quantum leap to the real reality. The effect of social hunger has opened the door to go back to the basics of human interactions. That's relationships. Nothing can replace relationships, not social media, not material things, not even food for those in need. I believe that we are at the verge of social transformation. The vacuum that social media has created and the uncertainties that COVID-19 brought and the evolution of world's economy have brought avenues for social transformation. More people are starving for authentic relationship rather than food for the growling stomachs. As culture changes, we have a tremendous opportunity to reintroduce the basics. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. Relationship is the link between false reality and real reality. Say, for example, in a food pantry in this COVID era, more people are starving for relationship than food. Although food is a basic human need, relationships are at the core of social being. More people are dying or even killing themselves, not because of lack of food, but because of lack of relationships. In the largest county in Indiana, Marion County, 29 overdose cases were reported every day in one of the articles in June of 2020. In my own experience in operating food pantry and overseeing several other food pantries in central Indiana, the food insecure population appreciate the personal interaction more than boxes of food that they receive. A pastor of a church that we trained to be a missional or relational food pantry once said that the community started to recognize his church not for giving away food, but for praying for them and by following up with them after the food giveaway. He said he became a neighborhood pastor. Watch Pastor McGee as he introduced us to Missional Food Pantry at his church. He is the main pastor for Zion Hope Missionary Baptist Church. What has been the main change or impact that the Lord has done through the Missional Food Pantry?
Well, it's really been a couple of things because it's been so fabulous to see the Lord work through 30 or 40 to 50 volunteers once a month coming together for the cause of Christ to serve. We had a wonderful food pantry before it was the Missional Food Pantry, but it was more about the transaction. But now we're able to provide the spiritual food that's needed and necessary so that when our clients leave, they feel as if they're revived, refreshed, and renewed spiritually. And to have the opportunity to pray with them, to talk with them, to feel their hurts and their pain and to be able to share in that and then to give them a sense of hope, not because of what we're doing, but because of what God is now showing them and opening their eyes, has just transformed the way that we've looked at the food pantry so that it becomes a missional food pantry. Our volunteers leave feeling as if they are serving God and serving people. Our church mission has always been to advance the kingdom of God through effective evangelism, discipleship, and service. And those are the core components of what we're able to do with the Missional Food Pantry. So the training that we received through Faith, Hope, and Love helped to really shift the atmosphere and what was taking place at Zion Hope in regards to the food pantry. And so watching people, seeing them on the street, and them coming back and saying, "Hey, Pastor, we remembered when your church prayed for us. Hey, we remember." They're not talking about we remember when we came to the food pantry and received food. You prayed with us. And then we have the opportunity to reach out to them on a consistent basis, to call them, to check on them. Hey, how is your mother doing? How's your father doing? How are your children doing? How are you doing in your job search? And those relationships become, again, to develop. And one of the greatest things that happened was one of our clients said they were going to volunteer. And now we have several that volunteer, and we have several that are even giving contributions. They're giving money to support the Missional Food Pantry and their volunteers. So that's been the great blessing. That's what's taking place, and we're humbled that God would use us in this way, but it's really injected a new sense of life and purpose into what God is doing through us at the church.
I'm always blessed to watch that video, and I would like to thank Pastor McGee of Zion Hope Missionary Baptist Church here in Indianapolis for a wonderful testimonial. You see, recipients at Missional Food Pantries, which is holistic and Christian-based food pantry, in other words, found things we all want and crave. friends, and authentic community. The recipients felt they were seen, supported, encouraged, and valued, which are higher human motivation than physiological needs based on Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Our base need for relationship can transform our world better than any material things. As Apostle Paul said in 1 Corinthians 13:13, and now these three remain, faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. Love is rooted out of our relationship with God and with others. We can change the culture and raise a new generation of missional people. We call this phenomenon a miracle that our world needs meaningful relationship as opposed to transactional. It is transformational. Rather than transactional, such as solely giving away food, we engage those who give with those who receive. This is a premise of culture change, back to the basics, the fundamentals of what we were created for. Anyone who has been a part of a movement or collaboration will agree with the power of relationships. There was a man named Cesar Chavez who invested his life in relationships through communal living with the oppressed farmers and laborers. He lived with them and sacrificed his life to bring about a culture change amongst the underserved farmers in 1994. He received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Our active involvement through relationship building can change the culture and also our society. In order for our society to change, we need to cultivate relationship, to go back to the basics, and to adhere to the great commandment, loving God and loving others. We need human connections. Last year in 2020, our organization, Faith, Hope, and Love Community, partnered with Starbucks Corporation to turn one of their vacant buildings into a missional food pantry. After a short 2 months period, we created a movement of passionate people who serve the community not just with their hands, but with their hearts also. They were engaged, committed, and invested individuals who want to change the world beyond just giving away boxes of food. Despite the changes and chaos of creating drive-through food pantry, we continued to meet at the intersection of physical needs and spiritual needs. That is, authentic relationships. The small community I formed became infectious in the Castleton area in Indianapolis and soon changed the spiritual atmosphere of that neighborhood. Many of the businesses and churches around that area came together to support our cause, to encourage everyone, not just us, but everyone, and not just to serve, but also with words and also finances and volunteers. After over 7 months operations, we have given away over 500,000 worth of food and material things to the community. We had 300 salvations and 93 rededications. I can tell you that only God can do that. But we need to be intentional in training, in discipling the people. It all starts with training and being aware of the things that we need to change. These mind-blowing numbers still make me wonder and continue to fuel my passion to change the landscape of the food pantry across our nation. That's what relationships can do to a person and to a community. They encourage us to keep coming back to push through the reformation of food pantries. We cannot just run campaigns on social media, raising the hype, having more likes and shares, and having social media relationships. Although these are important, nothing can replace our human interaction. Our world is different from 20 years ago. and we have to adapt and to use the resources available to us. We must adhere to the basics of human life, which is authentic relationships. In the past 17 years, Facebook has become a part of our world, our tradition, and our culture. Similar to the transactional nature of food pantries, we need to bring the transformational aspect of human interaction. Together with the ever-changing technology, we need to incorporate the relationship factor in changing our culture. In the process of giving away food to those in need, let's not forget the most important part of giving of ourselves through caring and through relationships. We must become missionally minded people where relationship comes first before material things. You can be a part of shaping the next generation of food pantries. It's missional. And remember, you have the power to bring kingdom solutions and resources to our world problems and challenges. Until then, God bless you and see you at the next FHL community episodes.
When we think about a food pantry, we think about giving the food out and, serving in the area. That's great. But when you think about the mission of food pantry and just that prayer that you give to someone, that salvation, that really has just really touched everyone.
I feel drawn to this organization, the people that are all a part of it, just their heart.
It's our responsibility to be the hands and feet of Jesus, and this is the way to do that. Just show people love, and you love on them well, and then eventually that will lead them to Christ.
There was compassionate people there for me. It was personal. Sometimes you just don't know what one person might make your whole day, your whole month, your whole night.
I wanted another way to help my community out, and I thought that this would be a great opportunity for me to serve.
He calls us to evangelize, he calls us to go out, and we just came and visited. We can actually work with that. They're solid, they're faithful, and people need that. They need a consistency.